Hello makers, welcome to Amy Howard Homes page. My name is Christie Barron and I am from Northern California, and I have a studio here named Joyful Art Studio where I share projects, all ages, arts, crafts, all kinds of fun, creativity, and it's just my passion to share fun, unique things to do. And one of my favorite things to do is to upcycle things, and Amy Howard's Homes products are amazing for that. And so today I have these fun little, we make these fun little boxes out of we're right near wine country. And so there's a lot of wine boxes and barrels and all that kind of stuff that isn't always reused. And so we are able to get a hold of some of that stuff from some of our friends who own wineries or things like that. So I love to take the ends of the boxes, and this one's from a winery, and then we will take some little stripping that we also get from a cabinet maker, and I put them together to make these fun little boxes, and we'll put little feet on them and things like that. So I wanted to do something with Venetian Plaster and then paint it with a little milk paint, and then I love to finish it with this beeswax. So I'm going to turn my camera down and show you what I have been working on and show you how easy it is to use these things. You don't always have to be using them on furniture. They are great and will work perfectly for your little upcycling or home decor projects. So let's get going. Okay, so here I have my Venetian plaster, and all you have to do with this is mix it with a little bit of water. And I've already made some here, but I wanted to show you how easy that is to mix up. So I'm going to just scoop a little bit into this cup. Not much, because we are just going to use it for this cute little tray, and I already have some mixed up. So I've got some plaster in here. I'm just going to add a little bit of water. And I want to use the plaster just to, my thought is I wanted to make these look like they had been around a long time. And so I'm going to just do one quick thin coat on this little box and give it some texture. And so I'm mixing this up, and as you can see, it mixes up pretty quick and pretty smoothly. Kind of the consistency of toothpaste, or maybe a little softer. See, but you don't want it so it's dripping off your spoon or fork, whatever you choose to mix it up with. Okay? And so here I just have a little plastic palette knife. And what I'm going to do is I am going to just give this guy some scraping around the edge. Because see, sometimes I choose, depending on what scraps I have, this one I just used some 1x1s and I did it on top. So you can see this facing of a wine box didn't have any imprints. But I just kind of want to hide that a little bit, because these are very simple boxes. There's nothing fancy about them, but we're gonna make them look fancy, okay? And I often will use some split balls. You'll see I have one that the plaster's already dried next to me that we're gonna paint. So I'm just starting on these edges. And as you can see, I'm not totally covering it. I don't want to do that. I want it to look like maybe somebody had made this and it's been used and has lots of fun stories to tell. But only we know that we are just repurposing some wood. And, you know, you could even do this, you know, you can find odd things at the thrift store, a box. It might be painted in colors or designs that you don't really care for, but you could put this plaster on there and some milk paint and give it a new and gorgeous life. So you see, we hardly even used any plaster on that. Like with my projects, I've had this bag for a long time, and it's still mostly full because I've only used it on one chair project. So it really goes a long way. I mean, if you're gonna be doing like a wall or a massive piece, you of course would need to mix it in a big bucket and all that good stuff. So I'm just gonna kind of lightly, I'm gonna use my ring finger to hold this so don't have much of my strength is weak there. So I'm gonna just lightly drag that around to kind of knock down some of those textures. I didn't really put any on the inside of the little box, just like that. And then I'm gonna let it dry. And depending on your weather, it, could take an hour or so, depending how thick you put it. So see, not very thick. So here's one that I already did. And as you can see, I put some little half split balls on there from the craft store. And see, I have my Venetian plaster on there. I'm just gonna take a little sanding block and knock off the big pieces. I don't want to sand away that texture, but you'll notice that it kind of dries. It'll have a little bit of some sharp edges. Not sharp in that they would hurt, but yeah. So that's it. There we go. So now I have done that. We can dust it off. I often like to take it outside and use my hairdryer for that. So now I'm going to use some milk paint. And the milk paint also is something that you are going to mix with water. And I only mix up a little bit because a little goes a long way. And I'm only doing a little piece. So as you can see, I just put like a tablespoon in there. Get another spoon here. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. So whenever you mix this milk paint, I need a little more. It will definitely darken with the water when it gets wet, but it will dry to whatever your powder was originally. And this is My Linen Apron. It's a really nice neutral color. And then I'm just gonna paint it on with a good old chip brush. So I'm gonna get it nice and smooth. So if you mix up more milk paint than you need, you could save it in the refrigerator for about a week. Cover it, save it, add a little water if you need to thin it out. But milk paint is a natural base paint, and if you leave it out or keep it longer than a week, it will go sour, just like milk. Okay. So I'm just gonna get an old chip brush. You can see these are well loved. And I'm just gonna and again, I'm not really concerned with 100% even, all these are natural, neutral, light colors, even the color of the wood. So I just want to give it a quick cover. It can be a super quick project. You can get other stuff done while it's drying. I can always mix up a little more if I need some more. Which I think I actually will need a little more. And that's okay. I personally am a less is better with these projects. I'd rather have to mix up a little more than to mix up too much. And if you're doing a really big project, it probably would be a good idea to mix this up either the night before or earlier that day and let the paint sit, and it'll get much smoother. But for this, I do not mind. Because if you let it sit longer, it will just absorb better. But I like this messy, chippy look, so. Just giving this. And since this project or this piece that we're using is an absorbent surface, I do not need to prep my surface for the milk paint. If you're using milk paint on a project where your surface is shiny, like a piece of metal, a piece of glass, a piece of laminate, you would need to use the milk binder, because this paint does not have any binders in it like the one-step paint or anything like that. It has different properties. It will not stick to those things, but they make a binder that could help you out with that. So you could still use it, just make sure you get a binder if your project has a silky, smooth surface, shiny. All right, now I just need to let this dry. See how easy that was? I can already see it's a little bit chippy, and then I will put some wax on it and it'll be good to go. Okay, so my milk paint is dry. All my good stuff is ready, and so it has a little bit of a texture to it, so I'm just gonna give it a quick light sand, and you can see that really cool vintage patina on there. And you'll notice the milk paint, if you sand it a little bit, it's really dusty, and that's okay. Just know that you might want to go somewhere in your space, like outside or garage, somewhere that you can easily clean it up. I'm gonna blow it over here for a sec. I don't want to dust it with something that is wet or damp, so I like to actually just use my hairdryer. In the workshop, we just blow it with a air torch thing. So I have a clean cloth here, and I have my Mind Your Own beeswax, and I'm just going to put a little bit there. Shake that up a little better. And I'm just going to rub it in. It's going to darken it a little bit again, and that is okay. There we go. That's better. And so I'm just going to really get my whole piece covered, and this is going to help bind that milk paint and protect it. And once this dries, we can buff it, and it's good to go. It's just a lint-free cloth from the hardware store or wherever. You know, you could use an old t-shirt. I just like to put a little bit in, and then mine's getting towards the bottom of the bottle. You can already see that chippy. I love that. So I didn't do a super thick coat of the plaster or the paint, and so some of that wood is showing through, and I like that. If you don't, that's okay. You can use as much of these products as you want. The first coat of Venetian plaster, you would want it to be thin and let it dry. And then if you notice, hey, I'd like a little more texture or for it to be a little thicker, put another coat. Same with the milk paint. Put a couple coats. It's your project. And this stuff is so easy to use. You can do that, okay? So, here we go. So we had our little thin layer of Venetian plaster, our thin layer of the Linen Apron milk paint on this little cute little tray, and some Mind Your Own beeswax. So I'm gonna let this dry and then I'll buff it and show you some pictures of it all set up. I can't wait to do that. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you drop your name and share down below with a few friends, I bet Amy will give someone a fun little surprise in the mail. So hope you all have an amazing day, and I will see you next time. Thank you.